After 60, your body doesn't suddenly fail. It starts speaking more honestly. Not with pain at first, not with disease, but with small signals most people ignore. A little more fatigue than usual. A moment of imbalance that wasn't there before. A sense that recovery takes longer and effort costs more. These are not just aging. They are messages, biological whispers from your cells, your muscles, your brain, telling you something important about your health. If you understand these signs early, you gain something priceless: time. Time to respond. Time to protect your strength, your clarity, and your independence. Tonight, let's listen to what the body is really saying after 60. When we pass the age of 60, something subtle but profound begins to happen inside the body. It is not a sudden collapse, not a single moment where health disappears, but a quiet conversation between biology and time. Many people expect aging to announce itself loudly through dramatic illness or obvious disability, yet far more often it whispers. It shows itself in small changes that feel easy to dismiss: a little more fatigue than before, a slower recovery after a bad night's sleep, a vague sense that the body no longer responds with the same eagerness it once did. These are not just inconveniences, they are signals. The body, which has been adapting since birth, continues to adapt after 60, and those adaptations tell a story about whether health is being supported or quietly eroded. One of the earliest signs that health may be declining is a change in energy that goes beyond normal tiredness. Fatigue after exertion is human. Fatigue that lingers without clear cause is different. At the cellular level, energy is produced in structures called mitochondria, tiny engines that convert nutrients and oxygen into usable fuel. With age, mitochondria naturally become less efficient, but lifestyle and health choices strongly influence how steep that decline becomes. When a person over 60 notices that everyday activities feel disproportionately draining, it may reflect reduced mitochondrial efficiency, poorer oxygen delivery due to cardiovascular changes, or chronic low-grade inflammation. The body is saying that its energy systems are under strain, and that strain accumulates long before disease is diagnosed. Another sign appears in the way the body handles balance and coordination. Many people think of balance loss as an inevitable part of aging, yet science tells a more nuanced story. Balance is not controlled by a single system. It is a conversation between the inner ear, the eyes, the nervous system, and the muscles. After 60, declines in any of these systems can disturb the conversation. Subtle unsteadiness, a hesitation when turning, or a need to hold furniture while walking may signal changes in nerve conduction speed, muscle strength, or sensory integration. These changes matter because they increase the risk of falls, but they also reveal something deeper. The nervous system is losing some of its precision. This does not happen overnight. It happens gradually, often years before a serious fall, giving time to respond if the signal is recognized. Muscle loss is another quiet indicator. The scientific term for age-related muscle loss is sarcopenia, but the experience is familiar to many: weaker grip strength, difficulty rising from a chair, or reduced stamina during walking. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It helps regulate blood sugar, supports joint health, and contributes to overall resilience. When muscle mass declines, it is not just strength that is lost, but metabolic stability. Research shows that muscle loss accelerates after 60 if the body is not regularly challenged with resistance and adequate protein intake. When weakness begins to interfere with daily tasks, it suggests that the balance between muscle breakdown and repair has shifted unfavorably. This is not merely aging, it is a sign that the body's adaptive systems are no longer being adequately stimulated. Changes in sleep offer another window into health status. Sleep naturally becomes lighter with age, but persistent poor sleep is not simply an age-related inconvenience. Sleep is a period of biological repair. Hormones that regulate immune function, memory consolidation, and tissue healing are released during deep sleep. When a person over 60 experiences frequent insomnia, early waking with fatigue, or unrefreshing sleep, it may reflect disruptions in circadian rhythms, stress hormone imbalance, or underlying inflammation. Over time, poor sleep amplifies cognitive decline, weakens immunity, and accelerates cardiovascular disease. The body is signaling that its recovery systems are compromised. Cognitive changes often provoke the greatest fear, yet mild changes are common and not always pathological. However, when forgetfulness becomes frequent, attention feels fragmented, or mental processing slows noticeably, it deserves reflection rather than dismissal. The aging brain undergoes structural and chemical changes, but it also remains remarkably plastic. Blood flow to the brain, glucose regulation, inflammation levels, and social engagement all influence cognitive health. Declining cognitive clarity can be an early sign of vascular issues, insulin resistance, or chronic stress. The brain is sensitive to the body's internal environment. When that environment becomes less supportive, the mind often reveals it first. Mood changes also carry important information. A gradual loss of motivation, persistent low mood, or emotional flatness is sometimes attributed to life circumstances or retirement, yet biology plays a role. Neurotransmitters that regulate mood depend on nutrients, physical activity, and hormonal balance. Chronic inflammation, common in aging bodies, can interfere with these chemical messengers. When emotional vitality fades without clear psychological cause, it may signal systemic issues affecting brain chemistry. Emotional health is not separate from physical health. It is one of its most sensitive indicators. Another sign of declining health lies in how the body responds to minor stressors. A small infection that lingers, a bruise that heals slowly, or a prolonged soreness after mild exertion suggests reduced physiological resilience. In younger years, the immune system responds swiftly, inflammation resolves efficiently, and tissues repair themselves with speed. After 60, these processes slow, but excessive delay indicates that regulatory systems are struggling. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, underlies many age-related diseases. When recovery slows markedly, it is often because inflammation is no longer being tightly controlled. Changes in appetite and digestion also deserve attention. Reduced appetite, bloating, or altered bowel habits are sometimes normalized as aging, yet the digestive system plays a central role in nutrient absorption and immune regulation. The gut microbiome, a complex community of microorganisms, shifts with age and lifestyle. When digestion becomes inefficient, nutrient deficiencies can develop quietly, affecting muscle strength, bone density, and cognitive function. Digestive discomfort is often an early signal that the internal ecosystem is out of balance. Bone health, though often silent until fracture, provides another example. Gradual height loss, stoop posture, or unexplained back discomfort may indicate declining bone density. Bone is living tissue, constantly remodeled in response to mechanical stress and hormonal signals. After 60, bone breakdown can exceed formation, particularly when physical activity is limited or vitamin and mineral intake is inadequate. These changes progress invisibly, yet the body often hints through posture changes and discomfort long before a fracture occurs. Cardiovascular signs are sometimes subtle as well. Shortness of breath during activities once performed easily, swelling in the ankles, or irregular heart rhythms can indicate declining heart or vascular function. The cardiovascular system adapts throughout life, but reduced elasticity of blood vessels and changes in heart muscle efficiency can impair circulation. Because every organ depends on blood flow, early cardiovascular changes ripple through the entire body, affecting energy, cognition, and physical endurance. One of the most overlooked signs is a narrowing of physical confidence. When a person begins to avoid movement, travel, or social engagement due to fear of fatigue imbalance or discomfort, it signals not only physical decline but a feedback loop that accelerates it. The body thrives on challenge and engagement. Withdrawal reduces stimulation to muscles, bones, and the nervous system, hastening decline. This behavioral change is often a response to subtle physical signals that something feels less reliable inside. Pain patterns also shift with declining health. Occasional aches are common, but persistent, diffuse pain suggests chronic inflammation or joint degeneration. Pain is a protective signal, yet when it becomes constant, it alters movement patterns, sleep, and mood. Over time, pain reshapes the nervous system's perception of the body, reducing function beyond the original cause. Persistent pain after 60 is rarely just about wear and tear. It often reflects systemic imbalance. The skin, too, reflects internal health. Delayed wound healing, increased bruising, or changes in skin texture can indicate poor circulation, nutrient deficiencies, or hormonal changes. The skin is an organ that responds quickly to internal shifts. When it loses resilience, it often mirrors deeper changes in connective tissue integrity and immune function. What ties all these signs together is not inevitability, but information. The aging body is not simply breaking down, it is communicating. Science increasingly shows that many age-related declines are influenced by modifiable factors: movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and social connection. The signs of declining health after 60 are less like final verdicts and more like early warnings. They emerge gradually, offering opportunities for attention and adjustment. There is also a philosophical dimension to recognizing these signs. Aging invites a different relationship with the body, one based less on performance and more on listening. In youth, the body tolerates neglect with remarkable forgiveness. After 60, it becomes more honest. It responds clearly to what it receives and what it lacks. This honesty can feel unsettling, but it is also clarifying. It encourages a shift from ignoring signals to respecting them. Scientific curiosity helps here. Instead of viewing fatigue, weakness, or forgetfulness as personal failures, they can be seen as data points in a complex biological system. Each sign reflects interactions between cells, organs, and environment. When we approach these changes with curiosity rather than fear, we are more likely to respond constructively. Compassion is equally important. Many people over 60 carry decades of responsibility, stress, and self-neglect. The body remembers these histories. Decline is not always the result of recent choices, but of cumulative exposure. Recognizing this fosters patience rather than self-blame. Health at this stage is less about reversing time and more about optimizing the present. Aging is not the enemy, silence is. The body never stops communicating. It only becomes quieter, more subtle, more precise. When we learn to listen, decline is no longer a mystery, and health becomes a practice rather than a gamble. If this talk helped you understand your body with a little more clarity, a little more compassion, then stay with us. Subscribe to the channel for thoughtful, science-based conversations about aging, strength, and long-term health without fear, without hype, and without false promises. And if you know someone over 60 who needs to hear this message, share it with them. Sometimes awareness is the most powerful form of care.